You spoke a little bit earlier about some of the addiction aspects that you had. You want to speak on any of that stuff about,
Like I was addicted to?
well, not just that, but like the whole aspect of digging yourself out of it.
Whew, that's a rough side. So,
Well, hey, this is what we do here. We get down and we talk about life and we talk about things that try to help people. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to open people's minds up about, good. This would be a good buffer between this. Before you answer this question, I was on Twitter today, even though I'm banned on Twitter for 4 more days. I was scrolling through Twitter and there's this guy named Mike Cernovich. He's a political commentator, but he had this really long thread. I'm not going to read the whole thread, but I will. And I was just like, man, I'm talking to Destiny tonight. I was like, and some of the stuff that we talked about earlier in the week.
mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, maybe this would be good to try to finagle this in somewhere, because I think it would be good. It'd be a good buffer between a conversation. And essentially he goes, and it's a lot of stuff that I talk about in general, so it just works in. And this was the start of it. He goes, this world is hard, and at its best, we struggle rather than suffer. All of us carry trauma, usually unprocessed, and these wounds lead us to recreate the trauma in others. There's no need to lie or sensationalize, and doing so shuts down the real discussion all of us need. And then he says, on another part of the thread, he goes, when you're forced to confront trauma, it's terrifying, as your soul may not be ready for it. Absolutely. This is why people vomit from ayahuasca. He was talking about ayahuasca stuff.
That's so funny, because I've been doing hella research on ayahuasca.
Yeah, and he goes, it's fighting trauma and your body purges it.
Yeah.
As you let the medicine work, you feel the pain travel through you. You weep and it's released. Because we are human bodies, we fight against the pain and should. However, we must learn how to release trauma when the environment is safe. And it was this big, giant, long, 16 post thread. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you guys want to go find it, it's Mike Cernovich on Twitter, or Cernovich at Cernovich on Twitter. Go check it out. It was a pretty good conversation, but he was talking about processing the damage and traumas that you've had in your life.
That is a really good buffer, man. Fucking
yeah. So, and that's something that, God damn it. No, it's not COVID. People shut up. I just swallowed wrong. But he was essentially he was talking about ayahuasca, but it was it's something to think about, because everybody at least once in their life has had some type of trauma that's made them go wild out at some point in their life, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they haven't wild out, they've held that onto that trauma so much that, they have a multiple of issues, anxiety, depression, and
that's my problem right there.
Stuff like that. So being able to work out of that and release that, you might still be affected with it, but being able to release that negative energy of trauma and torment or whatever it might be, that's something that's good to try to do, is to try to release that, whether it be through ayahuasca or, even painting, or sitting down on a podcast talking about random bullshit, or going out on a hike, or, making fucking cool ass art. But to segue that back to what I asked you about the addiction and stuff like that, I'm not asking you to get into the real bad side of why it was, or,
yeah,
but
no,
what was the process of digging yourself out of that?
Honestly,
because I know it was a hard time to get you out of that.
Yeah, it lasted for damn near half my life, really.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, so this past time when I lived in Pennsylvania, I lived with someone who I thought was my best friend for and it turned out I did not know this person at all. And it's weird how life comes full circle. I keep saying this lately, especially because I'm still digging myself up out of this hole. Okay. But I'm only had my first actual breakthrough.
Yeah.
But it was coming face to face with essentially a mirror image of me.
Mhm.
Like when you were talking earlier about like seeing the potential in someone and wanting to push them to do better and everything, that's what caused me to stop drinking this time. Like I was for like 6 years, you know, every single day I was drinking, like at least some point of the day I was drinking.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I got all these like diagnoses or whatever, and I was put on Xanax, and I was super hesitant about even taking Xanax because it was something I had abused in the past, and I wasn't ever addicted to benzos or anything, but this time I took it like as medically directed, and it was after being faced with my mirror image, you know, that I think it kind of broke my mind in a way.
Mhm.
And then like honestly, the last 5 days I've been going through Xanax withdrawal. And so I'm reminded again, you know, life bringing me back to this point, but in a different perspective now, because it's not, oh, I'm addicted to it. You know, like the doctor called me and everything. I could have gotten more, but I was like, I don't fucking want more. Like never again. Like this shit was the most brutal thing I have ever come off of.
Mhm.
But it was when I was coming off of it the first 2 days, I literally like I had vision problems and like I was having like hearing problems and just all kinds of issues. And like I was just, you know, talking about and like opening up about some of my traumas like in great detail about
Mhm.
what and it was like my brain broke or something. I don't know how to describe like this,
Right.
but it was like I was granted like such amazing fucking clarity. And for the first time in my life, it seemed like I was the one holding the torch, you know, rather than someone else holding the torch, lighting the way for me. It was like
Mhm.
holding the torch for the first time. And it made me realize that like I can be a toxic fucking person, you know,
Mhm.
and to be able to look inside yourself and see like these little blips that have popped up through your life, you know, that have prepared you, which you didn't know like in the past when this was happening. Like even if it's an image or something, you know, a situation, whatever, then it's like you're faced with it again.
Right.
Like that's why I believe that failures are good things. Like I mean, don't go fucking killing people or anything, but like, you know, like to a degree, I think that that's our opportunity in life where things come back full circle and they keep going in this fucking, you know, cycle essentially
Mhm.
until you finally had enough and you're like, all right, why the fuck does this keep happening? You
Mhm.
know, it's not just everybody else, it's something in you. And so to be able to take a look at that ugly, you know,
Mhm.
that we all harbor inside of ourselves and be able to fucking face it, like you said, you know, to be able to face your own fucking soul. Like
Mhm.
that is truth, man.
It's
Like
it's one I remember so many times back in the day telling you this exact kind of shit and like oh god I hate to say it like this but it seems like I used to try to beat it into your head
yeah, yeah.
but it's one of the things that but at that same time like at the same time that I was trying to beat that stuff into your head back in the day
I
I
wasn't
was
real.
also I was also trying to beat it into my head because I wasn't, you know, the picture perfect person back then either. You know, like I had my issues and I had my, you know, problems. I had anger problems and stuff like that too. So like, but after essentially we ended up parting ways, like I really did some deep digging into myself and I realized that, and this is something that we talked about the other day, that I realized that while I had a lot of bad shit happen to me, I kind of created it in a way.
Yeah, when we were talking about how we set up situations and we don't always realize it.
You know, like
Yeah.
granted, some of the bad stuff that happened, it wasn't necessarily me. It wasn't my fault.
No,
But but the way that I came off of it and let it control me
yeah, yeah.
is and it's funny thing is it's something that I actually talked about in my hike video that I recorded today. Which hell, you guys are gonna already see this. You're already gonna see this hike video. And if you're one of Destiny's fans, go back and watch this hike video because I actually talked about this in that hike video. Being able to once you find that that deepest, darkest spot of yourself and coming face to face with it, and then realizing that the trauma or the problems or the issues that you've had in your life, no matter what it is, whether it be drug addiction, maybe you were abused as a kid, or maybe, you were physically abused, sexually or something like that as a kid. I know all of that stuff is bad, but the way that you try to carry yourself out of that issue and not let it control you.
That's the hardest part, because you don't even, at least from my standpoint, I didn't realize how much it was controlling me, and even still, tends to control me. I mean, I call you with a lot of my shit,
Yeah.
and like ask your advice on it, because like sometimes having that other perspective to bring you back down to earth, like really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ultimate bring away from that is, you can ask all the advice that you want, but only you have that power to change that narrative and that story. I actually gave you a good piece of advice the other day of, you are the author of the book of your life, meaning you are the only person that controls that pen in your book of life. Not your friend, not your husband, not your kids, not nobody. Only you have that ability to write that page. So how you come out of your issue or problem or trauma or whatever it is, as long as you know that you have the ability to change that perspective. Yeah, it was a bad time of your life, but the way that you come out of it is going to be the thing that changes your life actually for the better. You might still have that problem and you might still have that trauma from it, but the way that you come out of it is always the better side.
Right.
I know it doesn't work for everybody, and it's easier said than done.
I think you have to hit that wall, you know.
You do.
Because you have to have, like I said, with the person that I lived with up in Pennsylvania, I knew this person for 15 years, and it was like I didn't know that fucking He was so much like me, but there were some things that were not, but to sit back and essentially watch him like killing himself, slowly, like by being everything, like it scared the hell out of me, because it was like sitting back watching myself and like all the advice through the years, all the rants and raves, through the years, people trying to, like you said, beat it in my head, it was like I had to hit that fucking wall to actually get it and be like, fuck, that's what they're talking about. Like, I'm not going to be like that. Like, I don't want to be like that. Like, that is truly fucking ugly. Like, ugliness in the soul type shit. And it kind of like shocked me to my core and, brought me back to reality. And then that trauma shit, because it was so similar, it kept bubbling back up, and I'm like, fuck, like, how am I going to do this? And then, I don't know, just everything. I was telling you, it's so weird how so many aspects of my life are coming full circle right now. Like, things are coming back up, but I'm different than I was, 5-6 years ago when things, I don't think I was open-minded enough to receive the message, if I'm being honest.
Life is a circle.
It is, man.
It's a circle, because you start here, you start at birth, and then occasionally you're just going to circle back to your death. I mean, people talk about wanting equality and everything like this. This is a little news flash for everybody. The only equality that we have in this fucking world is, 1, most people get to live. 2, we all get to die. That's our equality. Everything else, what happens in between, is how you make it. Some people's going to have a harder time. Some people are going to have an easy time at it. But it's how you live your day-to-day life. Like I said on one of my videos previously, I live my day, I live my life like I'm not going to be there the next day. Because you don't know when you're going to go. I could have this podcast posted next Friday, and I could die the next day. I don't know. So I want to make sure that no matter what I do in my life, every day that I wake up, I'm just happy that I'm alive that day. Because I don't know if I'm going to get another one. I could walk outside and get hit by a car. I could flip my car over into a ditch. A gang of roving bandits with fucking, Mad Max style fucking makeup on could smash into my house right now and take me out while I'm recording this. I don't know. Like shit like that can happen.
Yeah, it can't
Especially,
be impossible.
so like I make sure, and this is one thing that really snapped me out of it and made me change my mindset about everything is it wasn't really like I'd hit that wall myself, and I don't even remember what the wall was, but I just remember at some point in time I was like, shit's got to change. Like shit's got to change. Like
It's like you have to get fed up with yourself.
yeah. So like, and in that, I was just like, man, I went on that big journey of trying to find myself and figure out what the fuck was wrong with me. Why am I so angry all the time? Like, why am I just an asshole? Why am I so combative with everybody?
You are combative as shit, but
Granted, I'm still combative.
I don't
but
think
I think my combativeness now is a lot different than what it was back in the day. Because back in the day, it was anger combative.
not always. I mean,
not all the time, but like
you really had to be pushed a lot,
Yeah.
and was the type of person back then, especially that pushed a fucking lot,
Yeah. But like even then, like like yeah, it's like you said, you just got to hit that wall, and when you realize that shit's not as bad as what you think it is.
Yeah, but you don't even realize how much control you're giving over to that,
Yeah.
like you really don't.
You're giving that control over to the trauma instead of you taking the control of your life.
Yeah. Well, that, and even a lot of the mental shit that stays with you, advice even recently was that, you tend to, I think because your brain gets so used to it, you tend to
live in it.
Yeah. And you continue to play the game with yourself over and over and over again, so that's why I say, like, I think until you really truly hit that wall, you're not going to have any kind of breakthrough. Like, you have to hit that fucking wall, and you got to be willing to take a look. Like, I mean, in my opinion, it is pretty cut and dry. I mean, at least for me, it was, I just had to hit it. And, I'm 32 almost now. So
damn, you're old.
Fuck you.
But thanks for checking out this clip from the Jaysin Static Experience podcast. If you want to listen to the full show, head over to odyssey.com or any major podcast platform. All the links for all of those places will be in the description below and in the pinned comment. If you want to help support the show so I can keep bringing you more of these, be sure to head on over to www.jaysonstatic.com. Check out all the super cool items I have over there, all the super cool merch I have over there. Thanks for hanging out one more time, and much love. Peace out.